I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Susie.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
And I'm Chris Susie.
And I'm a Facebook bot.
I knew it.
That'll make more sense as we get into today's episode.
Bots.
The bots are, we're here. We're all bots now.
All bots.
So you should put on the robot voice mask.
Oh, shoot.
That your little
What in the heck?
does.
Why would I have not done this?
Well,
you are correct.
Maybe you can throw it in there another time. But anyways, well, welcome, y'all. So for today's episode, we are going to be doing not necessarily a part 2, but an update on the Conjuring House drama, because everybody on TikTok's very upset with my my dumbness. Basically,
not dumbness. It's the
it's
drama.
just my humor. It's my humor.
Yeah.
I say things are drama all the time. That's just a thing that JT and I say. We're like, oh, so much drama going on. But people were very upset on the internet that I said drama. But yeah, I am aware that it is drama. And we have more drama for you today. So yeah, we're going to get into that in just a second, but we do have a few announcements. So first off, we want to thank some new para-junkies who have joined us over on Patreon. And so we want to thank Jessica Guillory, who is an ultra para-junkie. Woo! We want to thank Brent, who recently became a year-long para-junkie.
Nice.
So thank you for taking advantage of that. We love when people do the nice bulk and stick around with us for a while. So we appreciate it. Alexis Tharp, Sydney Mills, Zephyr, who is also a year-long para-junkie.
Nice.
Luis.
CLB, Hillary T, another Jess, Marcy DeHart, who is also a ultra para junkie,
Nice.
and then another Jess. So Jess,
It's the month of the Jess.
yes, it is. Jess, it is.
Jess it is.
Wow.
And this is Jess Cervantes. So thank y'all so much for joining us on Patreon and becoming para junkies.
Thank you very much.
It's going to be a really fun month at the end of this month, especially. Because we are going to be having, and that's why we drink on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Very exciting. They are going to be talking about,
That's August 29th.
Their new book.
their new book that we actually just got in the mail today. They
Nice.
were kind enough to send this to us, so we can read it before they join us on the show. So I'm very excited to listen to myself speak this book, if you will. But yeah, so basically, this is the second book they have come out with, and we do actually, I think Chris brought the other one, and it lives in our cabinet of books over there.
And for the people who are listening, what's it called?
Well, so it is called A Haunted Road Atlas, Next Stop. And I believe their first one was just a Haunted Road Atlas.
Right.
So this one is more chilling and gruesome tales from And That's Why We
Nice.
Drink. And it includes terrifying supernatural tales and gripping true crimes from 30 different cities across the U.S., recommendations for bars, restaurants, hotels, and can't miss activities for each city, playlists tailored to each city and story for all your road tripping listening needs, and a chapter full of custom games for fans of the podcast.
Nice.
So it's a pretty awesome sounding book. I'm very excited about this. I love these kind of all encompassing, books and whatnot. So very, very excited. So you'll hear me talk more about this after I finish reading it. And then Chris will also, I'm sure, be reading it as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and like JT said, that episode is going to be on August 29th. Have we confirmed whether or not we're going to be able to do a live stream?
We're going to be doing a live stream.
Cool. So yeah, the Para Junkies will get to have a live stream of that episode. So I know a lot of the Parajunkies who are already over on Patreon are very excited about that. So definitely join us and become a patron before August 29th. And then also on Monday 19th, we are going to be dropping a new merch design. Whoop. And this was actually designed by one of our Parajunkies, Elle. And Elle, you might recognize her work from the Squonk design that we put out there. But she recently drew a new one, and personally, I think she outdid herself because I think this is truly my humor and also something I will personally be wearing.
Chris, this is it.
So this is the, for those of you who are just listening to this, basically it is the scientific name for the bubonic plague, which is Pasenia pedicis, which she has included a plague doctor wearing thigh-high boots.
And burlesque dancing.
Attire, doing a death drop, wearing the plague doctor mask, and holding a rat.
Isn't it lovely? I really like it.
When I saw this for the first time, I screamed. I was so excited about this because if there is nothing that I love more in this world, it is dark historical humor and drag queens. So, so great job, Elle, on that one.
Yep.
So definitely on August 19th, go get you some sassy, petty plague doctor merch.
Yep, and Parajunkies get a discount.
Yes, Parajunkies do get a discount. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the episode, or as Alex, another one of our patron or Parajunkies that is joining us on the live stream, has coined it, PJMZ.
Yes,
just
PJMZ.
like TMZ. We love it. So dun dun. I love it. But yeah, so we are going to be talking about the more crazy antics, if you will, of our good friend over at the Conjuring House. So let's just start with one post. Now, this is a little out of order for all the other posts that I will be reading to y'all today. Mm-hmm. But this one felt a little pointed towards us in a certain way, just because of the fact that this came out after we have made our episode. So this post was made just a few days ago, and it reads, like the previous bots, including us, it did not take long for people to jump on the Looney Tune insanity bandwagon, did it? I just know that slander and threats against a business are illegal in Rhode Island and under federal law. Thank you for your hateful lies, of which the truth you know nothing of. I know that these crimes are being investigated and further comments being noted. Anyway, here's the post to the Boston Police Department, which apparently is where she lives, is somewhere near Boston.
Sure. I mean, it's a pretty tight area.
Yeah.
New England in its whole.
Exactly.
It's only about an hour outside of Boston, really, or an hour and a half, maybe.
So I am not crazy, police department in Boston, MA. What is so threatening to you? Now she's calling out the Boston Police Department, y'all. So I have the First Amendment right to freedom of speech, of which I may speak of what I have been told by numerous sources. I also have the right to post videos of things to be seen and heard. I do not know who instigated this. Do not send officers from the Boston Police Department to my house 30 minutes or so, or ever for that matter, of one of my posts here on Facebook. Please also remind your police department that it is illegal for officers to open the door to enter my house when I have not granted permission for access. What was your precipitating evidence to warrant such egregious acts? Now, I am going to say her name in this episode because that is something that she writes, and she has made a point that she wants people to know her name. So we're going to go ahead and do it. I am Jacqueline Nunez, the owner of the Conjuring House. # stop police brutality.
Well, what is happening? What was that in reference to?
That was in reference to people, because we are not the only ones who have made episodes on this.
Naturally.
And so she is not happy that people are, for one, talking about it, and then also as you will see in a lot of the posts that I'm going to read to y'all, I think somebody might be, or multiple people might be sending wellness checks on her.
Oh no.
That must be what it is.
And she is not happy that the police are showing up at her home.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was a good starting point because that was on the Conjuring House Facebook page.
Right. And given the kinds of evidence that was coming out and the number of people who came out to worry that she was not well.
Yeah.
And I do actually think a wellness check does authorize police access to your house if they think that you might be harming yourself or in danger. I mean, I don't know at all, but it seems to me, well, and I guess it depends because you can't prank call a
wellness check. Yeah.
That would definitely be a crime if you just sending a wellness check to somebody.
No, I think the majority of people are very concerned for her.
Sure.
Like I'm actually pretty concerned for her because I read everything that she's posted on the Conjuring House Facebook and it's just not normal. It's not right. So
yeah, Pete said, wellness checks and warrants are typically the only reason cops can come in without warning. Okay. Well, yeah, because, I mean,
it makes sense.
It does.
If somebody is at that point of concern that they're calling the cops.
Right. So the bot thing kind of started back on July 29th when she was convinced that the Conjuring House Facebook page was under attack by hijackers and bots. Huh. And now it has basically turned into anybody who is opposed to her is a bot.
Sure.
So she said, we are under a full attack on FB by hijackers and bots. We will not allow our business to be destroyed. Paranormal activity is exploding at our location. Exploding.
Y'all, it's exploding.
Not our minds in disbelief. Come see for yourself. See you soon at the Conjuring House.
Which is
an interesting pivot for the business.
Right.
I'm going to slide an endorsement for how haunted this place is. Come and see.
Oh, she's steady calling it the most haunted house in the world. I'm like, no.
Don't spoil it yet, Alex. We're going to get to those. But basically, we'll kind of go. We're starting out with Jacqueline's absolute unleashing of her craziness, if you will, onto Facebook.
Although apparently that is highly contested.
Yes.
It's just, she seems to have put some unrational things.
And I think it is important to note too that Jacqueline does call herself a medium. And has told multiple news sources since all of this has started that she is a medium.
Oh, right. She even said that it was a ghost that told her that one of her employees was stealing from her.
Right.
So, there's a lot of problematic elements to that.
Yeah.
So one of the big themes that we're going to be talking about is the birds now giving her communication since...
She's going full Snow White on us.
She is.
That video.
So August 1st, she made a post about a bird and put in a video. And so she wrote this with a caption that read, 3.9 thousand views in under 27 minutes, I am told. Wow. Are they real views or automated responses from bots? I am Jacqueline Nunez, the owner of the Conjuring House in Burrillville, Rhode Island. Look at this little bird. Can you believe that it chirped continuously for almost 5 minutes? You can see its lungs heaving and its beak chirping. What an amazing thing to see. I filmed this at the Conjuring House on June 21st, 2024. Make sure you watch the entire video. I wonder what this bird is saying and to whom. I know that these bots and some people are calling me crazy, insane, or other pejoratives. I am not any of these things. What I really am is very well informed. Just wait, non-believers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And cautiously moving forward, we're not making fun of somebody who might be having some kind of breakdown. That's not the point of any of this.
Yeah.
It's
true.
It might get alarming in that regard because, I don't know what the point of suggesting a bird can't chirp for 5 minutes straight, or
right.
Did she think that there was something specific the bird was trying to communicate? But yeah, this is definitely one of those areas where we're kind of having to tread softly, because on the other end of this is a very possible unwell person. And,
right.
The last thing we'd want to do is suggest that a person who is unwell needs to be the center point of any humor or jokes or anything like that.
Really, where the point of it, even doing the first episode comes from is there's now kind of a movement that has started where it is boycotting the Conjuring House.
Yeah, Jason started it, right?
Jason Hawes started it, and we'll talk a little bit towards the end of the episode what has been happening with Jason, because he's really been getting a lot.
Right.
He is getting a lot of it.
Yeah.
But the really big point of this being is that this is still an operating business. And Jason made a really good point in his video because he just recently made an update himself. And he was saying that some of the things that she has been saying directly to him have been very violent and threatening. And it is concerning because she is clearly exhibiting signs that she might be a danger to herself and others. Meaning, if you are planning to be booking the Conjuring House for a tour or an overnight or things, you should proceed with caution.
Yeah.
Right. There's a level of irrational behavior here that could easily bleed over into any interaction. So, yeah, just be buyer beware.
Right. So then on August 5th, she went on a rambling to explain what the paranormal activity in the house actually is. So she said, "Isn't this interesting? 2 closed cabinet doors with a rock upright between the doors went from a state of inertia to motion without observing a physical force. At the right, there's a whole video where it's basically the door opens."
Right. Well, I mean, it's fascinating because the word choices is about trying to be as legitimate as possible by using the scientific, explanation of motion. Which also puts you in this place of the desperation of legitimacy.
Yeah.
But at the Conjuring House, we do not believe that every unexplainable event is paranormal phenomena. Sure. After I saw this, I tried to recreate the doors opening without the rock, and I was only able to provide enough physical force by stomping my foot repeatedly close to the cabinet. When I further observed the upright rock, I concluded that this is an authentic demonstration of spirit engagement with our guests. So Occam's razor tells us that this is Occam. Thank you.
Again, using scientific terms to try to overburden the story with legitimacy, trying to say, because I'm using scientific terms, this is a scientific event.
Right. It tells us that this is ethereal, intelligent energy interacting with incarnate human beings. I am hearing that people in the paranormal community are not understanding the use of the term intelligent. In science, intelligence means that some force or energy is engaging with something as if to respond or communicate with that something or someone. So in ghost hunting, when a cat ball lights up when asked, or a voice comes through on an EVP or through a real spirit box, that is a real spirit box, might I add. That is intelligent engagement with discarnate energy from living people asking questions. And then she went on to say, I am Jacqueline Nunez, the owner. I am hashtagging institutions who are in the know about the continuity of consciousness. I am also hashtagging the most respected journalism with journalists with the highest integrity in their coverage because they are funded by a consortium of countries that allow full freedom of the press. This is what I have been told many times by journalists. Their news coverage is completely free. They have I think she meant an app, that is free to download on Apple. In the U.S., I am told that we are censored from seeing coverage about our country. I have not been told who is censoring us, and I am not accusing our country. I do not know. Anyway, for free news access for happenings around our globe, read Al Jazeera.
Al
Jazeera. Okay. Yeah. And then she said, hashtag Harvard Physics Department, hashtag Princeton Laboratory for Post-Material Science, hashtag Arizona Consciousness Research, hashtag UVA Center for Past Life Research, and hashtag Al Jazeera English.
Maybe part of this is that she doesn't understand how social media works.
Right.
There could be
it's interesting because there are all these dovetails of paranoia, all these dovetails of vast conspiracy, and she obviously is intelligent enough to talk her way into that circle, you know, of covering bases, making sure that she addresses as many points as possible. But it's a lot. This is a lot.
It is. And then on August 7th, we returned to the birds. So just like how she was prior to this, she kind of has new catchphrases, if you will.
Sure.
So one of them being, I am Jacqueline Nunez, owner of the Conjuring House. I filmed this very chatty bird at my house in the Savin Hill neighborhood, which has also been described as near a serpent's tail, otherwise known as Morrissey Boulevard. I keep hearing very talkative birds and other chatty animals everywhere I go. How interesting. I continue to wonder what they are saying and to whom. Fuck you, strong letter to follow. Debria is sitting behind the camera, and she just suddenly popped up because it is
clutching
that jarring.
Her pearls.
It is that jarring. Yeah, that's also her new catchphrase is fuck you, strong letter to follow. But never a strong letter.
But, not that we know of. Somebody's getting a strong letter.
I guess.
There's some poor guy out in the middle of Massachusetts like, oh, what's this? Oh, this is a very strong letter.
I have been instructed to say this, among other phrases and statements I have been iterating on our Facebook page. We are doing something very meaningful and important for all of humanity.
Who's instructing her?
I think it's the birds.
Oh, sure.
But we will grow to understand much more as the weeks and months progress. I am not insane. I am not delusional. I am simply very well informed. So still just wait for more to come through the Conjuring House.
Oh boy.
This has been kind of a common discourse for her as well, is that she is, which also very much so alludes to some type of mental health episode, is because she seems to be genuinely convinced that she is some type of chosen medium, and the Conjuring House is the vessel that is giving her this secret information.
Yes. Well, and it's interesting because she makes mention of being well informed, which again, the information is missing from these declarations.
Right.
What is she informed about? What is she trying to impart as the information? It is concerning, and I would imagine that anyone who knows her personally would be on that level of this person probably needs, at the very least, someone to talk to.
Yeah. I mean, yes. if it was one of my, close friends destroying a well-known Facebook page with just random, political craziness, I would for sure I would be checking in on them or sending the police for a wellness check, just because that's like the Facebook page is valuable, it's a valuable Facebook page. And she's just like, I don't know. It seems to be growing the Facebook page though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
To a degree. And yes, Pete, she is still promoting house tours, which is partially why the discussion point has been kind of boycotting going to the Conjuring House until this woman gets the help that she needs.
And it's important to remember that she has a narrative about that house that is wholly her own. And this opportunity to kind of completely control the narrative is a part of, something that we kind of experienced in a small way was you're not allowed to have your own opinions or ideas about this space because there is a very structured truth about the place. And that structured truth seems to be something that she wants that control. She wants full control over every utterance about the Conjuring House. And so, yeah, it's interesting because without anyone else involved, no buffers at all, that total control of the narrative comes to mind.
Right. So that same day she posted, interesting that it took 3 times to post this, and much to the state of Rhode Island's governor's dismay, I am told. One just began telling more of what I have been told and what I have experienced. I am Jacqueline Nunez, owner of the Conjuring House. I filmed this from my house in the Savin Hill neighborhood of Boston, MA, which has also been described as near the Serpent's Tail, otherwise known as Morrissey Boulevard. This bird is very talkative. I keep hearing birds, crickets, and locusts making all sorts of communicative sounds. Everywhere I go, I continue to wonder what they are saying and to whom. Fuck you, strong letter to follow. I have been instructed to iterate. I know.
I mean, I'm very concerned for this woman.
I have been instructed to iterate certain phrases and statements for the sake of all of humanity, like that phrase. I will continue to do and say as instructed for the betterment of all living beings and our planet. There's another phrase. I know why I have been chosen to provide an awareness of the continuity of consciousness through the Conjuring House. You will find out why too. I am not insane. That is a lazy and woefully ignorant perspective that has garnered vicious statements about me. Now, Occam's razor would tell us that these posts with video are simply informing others that ethereal intelligent energy permeates everything in the cosmos, including our lives. I'm not going to tell you this, but I have also been told several times that NASA has discovered something that has not been released to the public yet. I hope that what I've been told is completely wrong. We shall see, we shall not see, we shall see, we shall not see, we shall absolutely see. 5 exclamation points. I cannot stay away from Facebook for more than 5 minutes. You are the Messiah, did you not? Did you know that? Sound familiar, anyone? Like 7.8 billion of you? More on this AIDS later. #Harry.
All right.
Then on August 14th, she posted, I am Jacqueline Marie Nunez, the owner of the Conjuring House. I was instructed to write my full name so that this post reaches more viewers. I am not speaking to the paranormal community. I'm utilizing our fame as the most famous haunted location on the planet to begin some disclosures. Yes, Debris is making a face like, really? That's the most haunted house on the planet? Yes, we are fully aware. It is a very loaded statement, but nonetheless.
It's kind of a loaded statement from the most haunted city on Earth's podcast. So.
But nonetheless, I have already been told that the people reading our page is actually in the millions. Isn't that interesting? I'm representing views and facts that I have researched for years. I also have been informed of upcoming disclosures by multiple sources over the last 10 months. Let the games begin, ... Now, this next part is quite troubling and also a little long-winded, so bear with me for a second, and we're almost done with her ramblings, if you will, but... Did you know that wasps only have enough venom to sting around 27 times before they eventually self-destruct? Wasps live in colonies. Isn't that interesting? The white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, wasps, came to the New World on November 21st, 1620, aboard the Mayflower. They were not the brightest that England had to offer, but any measure of intelligence because half of them starved to death throughout the winter months.
Why are we picking on the Pilgrims? and they dressed funny.
Yes. Well,
oh God.
Were they escaping something, or were they just that fucking stupid? And yes, half the wasp colony starved to death that first winter while living next to the Atlantic Ocean, brimming with all varieties of shellfish, fish, and other nourishment. Were they a bunch of inbred idiots?
Good Lord.
I know. Seriously, you dumb wasp colony, go get some oysters, clams, lobsters, scallops, and cod. She said, go pescatarian.
Yeah.
Anyways, if it was not from the kindness of the Wampanoag tribe, the first people to settle this land, the entire wasp colony would have perished that first winter. The Wampanoag taught them how to recognize and harvest edible plants, berries, and vegetables that they had no fucking clue about. The wasp's survival enabled them to begin stinging the first people who had saved them from starving to death. Speaking of stinging, Roger Williams arrived aboard the ship called the Lion as part of the Great Migration to the New World on February 5th, 1631. He landed near Boston. He was considered a radical Puritan because he espoused the separation of church and state. He also preached on the freedom of expression. He believed that any lands to be colonized by these evil wasps be purchased from the local native tribes. These tribes include the Nipmucs, the Wampanoag, and the Narragansetts. Because of his beliefs in support of the native tribes, Roger was stung and banished from Massachusetts by the evil wasp colony. The evil wasps then pushed out the first people when they had been inhabiting these lands for thousands of years. After his expulsion, Roger and his followers founded the colony of Rhode Island, also called Providence Plantations, which eventually became the state of Rhode Island. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In December 1633, Roger was summoned before the General Court in Boston to defend his tract with the native tribes, attacking the King of England and the Charter. I wonder what his tract consisted of. What was the Charter? Roger's tract disappeared forever, so they thought, and the wasps surmised that it was likely burned. We have always included the history of Roger Williams as part of our paranormal and history tours, which we did not receive.
Yeah,
we did not receive any of that information, but nonetheless.
Not at all.
No.
We will have to add some additional information based on my research to the tour script. Don't you think it is odd that Rhode Island is the smallest state in the Union? I wonder when and how that came about. Are these evil white Anglo-Saxon people, today's evil wasps, and today's other evil wasps from many, many, many countries around the world still stinging? I wonder what other assets of people and places are being stung by all of these evil wasps. I wonder how much venom these evil wasps have left in them before they self-destruct. Has Rhode Island continued to lose any of her land? What about neighboring states? What about in Europe? What about the rest of the Western Hemisphere? What about the Eastern Hemisphere? I imagine if all of or some of my wonderment turns out to be true, get your bowl of popcorn and a good pint to go along with it. Or as the great spirits say, let us not speak too loudly so that we can hear the affliction of too many words by evil people who will not stop stinging everything under the sun. Just wait for additional disclosures coming through the Conjuring House, and I am told disclosures from other messengers. I've been told to capitalize certain words and to use my full name so that more people see this post. I've also been told that our media outlets in the United States do not have freedom of the press, so that is why I am not hashtagging any of them right now.
By whom?
So,
I mean, we're dangerously close to... We're dangerously close to disorders that just a mention of can be divisive and derisive.
Mm-hmm.
But my word, this is when, you always need some kind of sounding board, because without somebody there to at least say,
some checks and balances.
Yeah, little checks
Right.
and balances, somebody that you can, at the very least say, I think this bird is talking to me, and somebody else to say, maybe it's just a bird. That conversation can at least, even if you still believe that the bird is talking to you, you can have some counterpoint. Oof.
well, and that's the thing is, I know that sounded like a historical rambling, and Pete, you are correct. That did sound like a wiki page being regurgitated. But I think
with some wasp-paid in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is it felt very much so like she was trying to make an analogy that this is what's happening to her.
Absolutely. To a degree. And also connecting to the Conjuring House, because there is the native spirits of the area, and when we tried to talk about it, we were hit with a lot of resistance, and a lot of that was, well, everyone knows that this is a heavy native thing, and experiences with Native American spirits or indigenous spirits are common, and that puts us in this weird sort of narrative line where, again, she has a story that she's trying to tell. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of at the point, it's like, well, what is it? What's the story? Yeah. What is this information that you're going to bring to us?
Right.
And is it only available to people who pay the price to be in the Conjuring House now?
Right.
Are those the only people? Because that sounds like you're setting up a cult. That only the people who come and pay their admission will get the truth. The quote unquote truth. There's a lot of elements in this that just kind of make me deeply uneasy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made me very uneasy as well. And I thought the same thing, that I'm like, so why are you now saying that, these settlers were pushing out and stinging, if you will, the native people when you were so opposed to it and saying it wasn't historically accurate? But nonetheless, and this will be the last post I'll read to you from our friend, the owner, if you will.
And then we get into
and then we're going to get into, we're going to get into Brian, who is the general manager, who I did not have all the information on at that point because more has come out from him specifically. Gotcha. And then we'll get into Jason. But yes, so this last one is she had posted actually a very compelling and interesting video of an orb in the cellar, which could have just been left at that. If you will.
It looked like a bug.
I mean, it was orb videos are always going to be very for
dust bug,
right? But nonetheless, it could have been something that could have just been an interesting piece of video that was caught in the house.
Maybe it was a wasp.
Could have been a wasp.
It very well could have been.
Angry at all of this disinformation.
I mean, she did say that the paranormal activity in the house has been booming, basically. Exploding.
It exploded.
And so on the as the caption for the orb video, she said 7.2 video reviews in under 2 hours with only 23,000 followers. Bots. Fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
Sorry. Well played.
Got him.
Jeff Bezos is the only enlightened one of the evil wasps.
I know, right? Yo.
Why'd you go with Bezos?
Of the evil wasps. The rest of the enlightened ones know what is happening here. So I have been scrolling my newsfeed for the Conjuring House, which is now only people and pages I have never fucking heard of. I was supporting these new posts and statements that reflect my beliefs when I noticed how many people have over 50,000 followers. Good for them. Isn't that interesting, though, that the most famous haunted location in the world only has 23,000 reported followers? Maybe it's because people are unfollowing because they're a little unnerved by the ramblings, but that is neither here nor there. Anyway, here is additional proof of the continuity of consciousness captured at the Conjuring House. Once the orb reached awareness that it was in the straight view of the camera lens, it scurried out of the way. In my opinion, this is proof of discarnate intelligent energy, which in paranormal parlance is a spirit orb. Its intelligence was its holy shit moment in realizing that it was being observed by the camera. Now, I don't know about you, Chris, but I don't know of very many orbs that have intelligent energy.
No, that's not generally what an orb is in any regard. Usually orbs are thought of as conditional. They suggest that the condition for haunting could be present. An orb is not supposed to be thought of as an individual spirit. I say that, but there are people who do believe that an orb is the spirit. But generally it's thought of as, oh, this place might have, the conditions present to facilitate ghosts because there are orbs present, not, oh, there's Bob and there's Jim and there's,
If y'all go on the Facebook page, I'm talking to the listeners, not y'all. If y'all go on the Facebook page, that orb does book it. He go.
But yeah, so that is what Jacqueline has been up to. Now we're going to give you an update on Brian Dansereau, who is the general manager of the Conjuring House, who is owed $9,000 by the owner. So because of this, Brian has had to create a GoFundMe entitled Support Brian's Fight for Justice and Survival.
Wow. Goodness.
So his description basically on the GoFundMe basically gives a gist of his side of the story. And it read, "Hello, everyone. I was the last of the original staff of the Conjuring House. I began working at the house in 2021 through Ghost Hunt USA. I stayed on when the new owner purchased the property in May 2022 and became the first full-time employee May 20th, 2024. I stayed on after all the other staff left due to the owner because of my love for the house, the spirits, and for all that of us original staff members built the experiences at the house to be. On July 19th, 2024, I was unexpectedly fired by the current owner because, in her own words, the voices in her head, including John Arnold, told her I was physically attacking her along with the previous staff, and that the voices, including John Arnold, also told her I stole money from her."
When you really don't want to pay.
Literally.
When you I just don't want to pay this dude.
Literally. Well, and the fact that she was saying that he was physically attacking her and others, that is very extreme.
It's bizarre because the question then is, does she have no recollection of the physical attacks? She's taking the word of these voices. And again, highly problematic that she is taking these voices that no one else can hear to a higher face value than the people who are right in front of her.
Yep.
It does definitely suggest the need for some kind of intervention, some kind of and I guess that's what they attempted. I think the staff attempted an intervention in lieu of any other action. They were like, we have to leave unless these things are addressed.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah,
it's a weird flex.
Right. Clearly, none of those allegations are true. The fact is the owner owes me 5 weeks of pay, which as of Friday, she flat out refused to pay because John Arnold told her not to. I know how all of this sounds. You have to experience it firsthand, honestly, to believe it. I do have all the messages and communications from the owner to demonstrate my truth. However, along with the very real threats that if I speak to anyone or go public, she will hurt me, I'm not backing down. I need a lot of help, though. I've got a heart condition, and although I was full-time, the owner never set me up with a proper payroll with all legal deductions. She simply wrote me checks, always late, after me asking multiple times. Only twice, she owes me $9,000 in back pay, and she never came through with health insurance, to which I needed to go through my former long-term employer to activate my next COBRA payment is August 1st, 2024, and as it stands, I cannot go through unemployment as she never did the right thing by me with my full-time position.
Dang.
And clearly she still owes me 5 weeks of pay, which she assured she is not paying.
So she didn't put him in payroll, so he's not eligible. Wow.
Yeah, so he's not eligible.
But unfortunately, he's also going to have a hard time proving that he earned it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. All day. I mean,
without a contract, without some kind of stipulation, without employment records.
I hope he's got something.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's a he said, she said at that point.
He
can say that there was an arrangement, but if there is no documentation, it's going to be a hard fight
And so he said, this fund is to offer me assistance with surviving and most importantly, to provide me the resources I need to fight this evil. As I know through her threats and past action, she is a lawyer and will do everything she can to bury me in this story because her pockets are so much deeper than all of ours. Please help me survive and fight her. I need legal representation, which as of right now, I've not found yet. Your support will be beyond appreciated to help me survive this and begin my fight to hopefully right this wrong. The past wrongs done to all of the previous original staff, as well as help the current remaining staff still at the house, not for the owner, but for the guests, the spirits, and the house. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, that pisses me off because what we paid for one night there is half of what she owes him.
Right.
Seriously, that's nuts. Like, she's making so much money with her freaking, I don't know, $800, what was it? We paid $800 influencer fee because we have over 15,000 followers.
Followers, right?
Yeah. That was like I was like, okay, sure, whatever, a couple $100 extra bucks. Well, a little more than that. But like, you're not paying your people?
Right.
Like, dude.
Right. At the very minimum, pay your people.
Yeah.
And it sounds like she was paying them under the table anyway.
Right.
Which means that, again, that's a quagmire.
It's bad.
Because we have Parajunkies saying, oh, couldn't they prove with witness statements and couldn't they prove with video? While they can prove that he was there and that he was doing a job, they can never prove what the arrangement was. She could call him a volunteer. And if there's nothing to indicate otherwise, it becomes questionable. And not to say that I do think that any court will sympathize with him and any court would side with him, but that means the fight is much harder. It means the lawyer has to be that much sharper.
Right.
And if she has lawyers, and she was a lawyer herself, I believe.
Yes.
If you're going against people who know the law, there's a lot of dancing around to be had just on the idea of you didn't have a job description. You didn't have, whatever tasks you undertook on your own. Things like that become a conversating point, unfortunately.
Yeah. And in my thought process, more than likely what would end up happening, probably best case scenario, is he's probably going to get a settlement of some sort.
I would imagine. Yeah.
And that would more than likely be court ordered in some capacity.
But not if her main counsel is a ghost from the 1800s, you know.
Right.
I'll put his GoFundMe link in the description if anyone wants to give.
And he is a former paramedic, and so he basically has gone public at this point now. So he said he's a former paramedic. He has denied the theft and has since filed a complaint with the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training for unpaid wages. Estimating that it is around $9,000 for uncompensated work. He also has stated this was going to be his sunset job. In all my career, I've never been accused of stealing. So he was essentially he went from being a paramedic, which is a very high stress job, and he was like, great, I'm finally going to get to do what I actually want to be doing. And so it's pretty unfortunate.
Wait, has that been on?
Yeah.
Lord. Well, the spirit chat's been on, y'all. So what did you say? Except.
Yeah.
Like accept or accept?
This was going to be his dream job. Except
okay.
He's now having to fight this nightmare.
But so we'll put the link to Brian's GoFundMe if you feel compelled to go help out in that way. Also interesting to note that Satori actually messaged us.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
After our episode because she wanted to reach out and essentially, I feel very sorry for her because time is what it said. Okay. Yes, it is time to talk about that. I guess. But yes, I felt sorry for Satori because it seemed like she in the message. She did praise us for the great job we did on covering the information and, spreading the word and all that. But it felt like she felt responsible for having to apologize for our experience. Yes, I'm getting into it. Basically, I'm not going to read you the message because it's not necessarily important to put publicly. But yeah, essentially, it felt like she was apologizing for the treatment we got and that we were slightly taken advantage of in the money aspect and all of that jazz. She did also mention that they are continuing to open the museum. So that's a good update.
Fantastic.
That's awesome, right?
She did invite us to come up there when they get it up and running to come see
and we will be there.
The museum. So at least that is good news on that front. They've done a really good job of, making their circuit of, talking about what's going on. And so I'm very hopeful that they are going to be eventually up and running and successful in that facet. But
they're still nestled in an amazingly paranormal heavy area. The Lizzie Borden house is a stone's throw away.
Right.
The Conjuring House is right there. The Warrens Museum is right there. Salem is right there. So you're in a solid circle. The Bermuda Triangle of New England is right there. So.
Right.
Luckily, she was saying the fire didn't take the museum items.
Oh, good.
Just the power tools and all that stuff.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It seemed like that was a terrible. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Now, we're gonna go. We're gonna be visiting them. We're gonna accept her. We already accepted her invite, but we'll be up there to say hey whenever it's up.
Yep. And then the last update we'll talk about is Jason, because Jason, who is Satori's father, also you might recognize him from TAPS because he is one of the original TAPS members. Poor Jason has been put through the ringer on this. And it's very understandable why he's been so outspoken on this topic, because not only does it affect his family, but it also affects many of his friends who have been...
and the field entirely.
Exactly.
It makes it very difficult to have any legitimate point of view when someone, especially someone who has access to one of the most celebrated haunted areas, is behaving this way, because it then paints a picture of this entire group of like-minded people.
Yeah,
exactly. So what I'm gonna basically be reading to y'all is the text messages that have been exchanged with Jason and the owner, Jacqueline. So if you want to see the screenshots of this, go watch his most recent video. It's about 20 minutes long or so, but he shows the entire text thread except for a few, and we'll talk about that in just 1 second. But
it is quite the enthralling video.
It is very enthralling. So on August 10th, Jason Hawes posted a video in which he starts out with saying that the owner had sent him such vile and threatening messages that he had to take it to the police and file paperwork against her. So it seems like it's starting to elevate to that level where she is now making actual threats against people, and not.
Well, even Brian said that there's a threat of physical, harm.
Exactly. And so because of this, some of the messages were withheld because of them being turned over to the police. But what he was able to share, I am going to essentially recite to you, because I obviously don't have access to screenshots from Jason Hawes' phone, but nonetheless. All of this saying he has kind of started the boycott Conjuring House movement. He has it all throughout that video of just hashtag boycott Conjuring House. And so he made the very valid point of exactly what Chris was saying before, buyer beware, because we don't know what can
happen to you. Because now if she's offering physical violence, staying in her house doesn't sound like a great idea.
Right.
No.
So the first message that he showed after she had already sent out the very violent messages was sent to him on August 10th at 1:23 a.m. And it said, "I'm told that it is you that continues to fuck with my life. How does a high school graduate plumber, has been paranormal celebrity, think that he somehow has all of this power?" Which, first off, is a very mean thing to say to anyone.
No. Yeah, that's a lot of punching down. That's just mean.
or even the legal right to do it. That is interesting. I am told that you are using black magic.
Oh. So that high school diploma came through.
Exactly.
He studied black magic.
Apparently. But
Hogwarts.
He went to the School of Hogwarts for sure. If this is true, the true thing about black magic, Jason, is that it always demands unjust returns. When you make a deal with demons, they always want your life in return. I read that in a scholarly article about the 52 demons who influence people to do incite terrible things to happen to humanity, animals, and our environment.
All right, so there seems to be two teams. There seems to be the team of like, she's not possessed. She this is a mental health situation. That seems to be the larger team. And then there's team like, oh, she's definitely possessed. This is the Conjuring House, right? This is she owns it, right? And so Maddie, read what she said about demons, what they want.
What I just read?
Yeah.
Okay. I read that in a scholarly article about the 52 demons who influence people to do and incite terrible things to happen to humanity, animals, and our environment. Fuck you, strong letter to follow.
The sentence before that.
Okay. When you make a deal with demons, they always want your life in return.
Interesting.
Which is...
So if you're on team possession... Now that would make a little bit of sense in my mind, because she's destroyed her reputation, but like almost entirely. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm not on team possession, but if you are, that's a win for you.
So she then sends a link to a Wikipedia page, which good. I guess is the scholarly article that she was referring to, entitled "Deal with the Devil."
Yeah.
She follows that with a message that says, "Here's my first Google search result. I will forward the scholarly article when I find it again." She sends another message interlaced with more Wikipedia pages about Christianity and demons. The message somewhat reads, "According to traditional Christian belief about witchcraft, the pact is between a person and the devil or another demon trading a soul for diabolical favors, which vary by the tale, but tend to include youth, knowledge, wealth, fame, and power." Jason responds with, "You have some serious issues. You've decided to attack me time and time again. I have been understanding. Your last text to me have changed that I promise you I'm not the guy that you have exchanged with me, that I promise you I'm not the guy you want to push any further, Jacqueline." She responds with, "Fuck you, strong letter to follow."
Which, and Sheila just asked, could somebody explain that? No, there is no explanation.
No.
And as near as I can tell, she is utilizing phrases that she was told to use.
That's
like she seems to have iterated that she was instructed to capitalize certain words, to say her name. Mm-hmm. And now I believe that the letter to follow is somehow an instruction put upon her, as her sign off.
Yeah.
This is so disturbing on so many levels, because this is what unchecked schizophrenia looks like. This is a person who has decided that the voices should have sway over them, and listen intently and believe intently that the voices are correct. Not to discount her just being, emotionally distraught in some way, but she does keep talking about voices, and she does keep suggesting that she has information that's coming to her from these other sources. She levels attacks based on information she gets from voices. These are all very emblematic of a deeper situation.
Right. So she continued saying, "I know everything, including you showing up at 2:30 a.m. to kill me," which did not happen, as we talked about in the last video. I am not in the least bit afraid of you getting in. Get in fucking line, Jason. I'm being assured that you will be prosecuted. Keep it up because the counts on attempted murder are still ticking up. My only serious issues are you, Satori, Cody, Reed, Jen, and Corey Heinzen. Attacking me personally and trying to incite violence against me. I've done nothing to you. I've done nothing to any of you. Who are the insane ones here? Time will tell, Jason. I have very powerful people at my back protecting me. You'll see, you have no idea how many people have been recording your psychic torture sessions and keeping text messages. People have infiltrated your insane efforts and violent conversations, including capturing video like I have. At some point, Rhode Island and the township of Burrillville will act to bring you to justice once again. Once again, fuck you, strong letter to follow, Jason fucking Hawes, because she misspelled his name.
Yeah, she spelled like German house.
Yeah.
Frenchie brings up an interesting thing. Letter to follow could be a term that she used when she was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Letter to follow is kind of an interesting sign off that a lawyer would use.
Frenchie might have broke it.
It's very possible.
Because everyone's been wondering that.
I mean, she do be having catchphrases. The last catchphrase she had, which was, I will never be destroyed, or I cannot be destroyed.
Cannot be destroyed.
And so fucking be it. But
and she also says, isn't that interesting a lot?
Yeah.
Which every time she says it, it's like a little bit of ice down my spine. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Jason responds with, you truly have lost it. Your random text accusations and public posts have shown the world your true colors. You're a danger to yourself and more worrisome others. I never want you to fear me, Jacqueline, but I plan to make sure you know who I can be when pushed to a point. She rebuttals with, I will take this as a death threat.
Bruh.
So these are delusions of grandeur.
Yes.
Delusions of high persecution. The belief that the center of all of the machinations in the universe are coming down on her specifically. This is such dangerous behavior.
It is. Like you intended it to be. I will send this to Burrillville. Let's see if I repeat what I have done or even posted, Jason, to warrant such hatred. Just because you are not in the know does not mean any of these things that you paint me as exist. Besides, that video with you in the truck says everything now, doesn't it? How am I a danger to myself or those around me? Death threats. Those are more death threats. Keep talking, Jason. Jason says, the person in the truck posted their information and proof that it was them. I have never threatened you, nor would I ever. Again, you are a danger to yourself and others. You truly need help. I say this from the heart. No matter how much crazy stuff you've thrown at me, I still want the best for you. You need to stop making crazy claims, accusations, and threats. You have pushed away and attacked everyone who cares and cared for you. She then goes on to say, I am told that facial recognition software was used to determine that it was you. That will be up to your defense team to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Told by whom?
Right.
Yeah, literally.
John Arnold, I'm sure.
John Arnold's out there with his computer, is in the Bat Cave.
But without a reasonable doubt that you and others have not committed thousands of crimes against me and other innocent people like me, who did nothing to harm you or your fellow assassins trained under a terrorist and interrogation tactical handbook.
Wow. Assassins.
Okay.
So I've been told by numerous sources. Now I will take a snapshot of this final text exchange and the evidence will lead to a just result over time. I will not stop posting as I am instructed to do so to inform the public. I'm very important in very important matters facing our country and other countries that are on a list. Text exchange with your defense attorney if you can find one. Fuck you, strong letter to follow.
Yeah, dude. If I'm Jason after receiving that, I'm locking my doors extra tight.
Right.
I got a new Ring alarm system, charging my batteries. Like,
Good Lord.
Now, you can in this next one, you can tell Jason got a little frustrated because he used a lot of sarcasm in this, but you use facial recognition. Oh, damn. How will I ever get out of this now? I guess I'll have to go back into hiding, because she had alluded in one of the messages that went to the police that he was in hiding. It seems like you just checkmated me. You're just too smart for the likes of me. I'm just an average guy with no psychic powers. I can't compete with you and hundreds of ghost friends giving you secret information. The owner responds with, now that you say that, perhaps you are correct. We shall see. All I said is that I was told, you idiot, that facial recognition was used on the guy who I said looks like Jason Hawes. We shall see about that too, won't we? The sad thing is, as I am told, the U.S. administration, or my purported friend Jennifer, weaponized the paranormal community to eat its own. Why would the U.S. do that? What do they have to fear from an educated citizenry and other residents regarding the laws of the cosmos? Stop torturing me and others and contemplate these questions instead. Here's your cheat sheet. It's because the wealthy and influential elites have always understood the laws governing our cosmos, and they have controlled the rest of us for centuries. So if the masses understand, then these elites lose power and control over our lives. And while the above is true, I suspect that Jennifer is also terrorizing and influencing good people sponsored by some country or other powerful organization. Maybe you can figure that one out. You do not know who I am yet, but I will synthesize for you when the entire story unfolds. I'm not sure when I leave you with this. I was chosen to own the Conjuring House. People recognized that when I bought it, even though she put a lien on it and forced them to sell it to her, but that's none of my business. We are experiencing disclosure events that are happening through me and the Conjuring House. I do not really give a fuck what you personally think of me, as long as you and others are not hosting Facebook and YouTube lives or posting or inciting violence on other social media platforms to attack and even kill me. I care deeply about my business, the Conjuring House, and my staff that I don't pay. I will. She didn't say that, but
yeah, I was about to say.
I will defend all of us, the humanely and publicly vocally.
Does she have staff anymore?
That is very foggy, because Jason also had put a caption saying that as he was filming that video, more staff left. But I have not heard of any staff coming out publicly and making statements. So it's kind of foggy, but nonetheless. I will consider any continued texts or other means of communication as further harassment. I have done nothing to threaten you or anyone. I have done nothing to slander any particular person. I've done nothing but express my First Amendment rights and post compelling, foolproof evidence of the continuity of consciousness. I will not stop posting disclosures about the truth, as I keep being told about these truths, so shut the fuck up about things you know nothing of. Do I really sound crazy, Jason? I am not even close. If you wake up, Jason, perhaps you will fulfill your soul contract for a very special mission unfolding. Fuck you, strong letter to follow. And that was the end of that.
There's nothing like continual declarations of not being insane.
Right.
To really start the questioning of someone's sanity. Because if you're hearing voices, and some of those voices are old dead people telling you that people are stealing from you, it couldn't hurt to take a moment to say,
maybe,
could I be insane?
Right.
Might this be insane? Is this insane? No. Well, I have this terrible feeling that this is not going to end well.
No.
I have this terrible feeling that it's going to be worse, much worse, before it's resolved. I kind of hope someone
intervenes
in her circle can apply the kind of help that it seems she needs. And again, this is a lot of armchair diagnosis. You know, it's possible that she's, not in as much peril as it appears. She may not be as quote unquote unhinged as she seems, but when we're reviewing all of this, it seems like she truly does need help.
So, that's basically everything we have for you as the update. It was very thick, if you will. But
with 3 C's.
Yeah, as obviously people who listen to this podcast, everybody who listens to this is interested in the paranormal, and most people do like to eventually go to haunted locations. So
keep an eye on it. The story is developing, apparently.
Yeah, apparently it is. And obviously we don't want anything bad to happen to this woman. We hope that she gets the help that she needs, but also hope that the people who are directly affected by her actions also
are safe. Yeah. We hope for their safety. We hope for their, prosperity. There's so much room for growth, especially when you have a property like that, just in the notion of expanding people's understanding of the paranormal or supernatural, or just spirituality, as a blanket thing. But you cannot control other people's experience. That it's impossible. It's impossible to tell one person what they see.
So, hopefully we won't have to make any more updates about this, and probably from here on out, just because it seems to be getting to a point where it's a little too. I'm not sure how to describe it, honestly.
It's getting litigious. Yeah. It's going to be settled in court.
Yeah.
There's going to be, some court issues, certainly. And we're not going to institute any type of boycott, but we certainly are going to say don't go blind into anything. And this is probably a good lesson for all locations, because all locations are operated differently, and you can have entirely different experiences. But try to do a little research.
Right.
If you're going to a place, see if there are other people who have comments or commentary about their experiences there, so that you can better prepare for what it's like. Even the notion of check to see the size of the place, because a lot of haunted places are really small.
That is true.
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody say that the Sally House is super small.
Right.
And the Axe Murder House, the Villa.
Oh yeah, the Villisca.
The Villisca Axe House is also very small, but they seem much larger, like
in your mind.
Yeah. So
how Jason ended his video was actually like super chilling, and it was the reason why he was saying boycott it is because he doesn't want anyone going there and potentially
to be harmed.
Wasn't he worried about someone possibly looking like him, or
he did.
It's like,
he
what
did
would she do?
What would she do if a bald middle-aged man showed up at the house?
That's not rare.
And keep in mind, she could easily just look at anyone and think that's Jason in disguise. That's if we're in this level of self-delusion, there does seem to be violent threats coming from the owner, which means that you don't want to put yourself in a position of access to someone who has that kind of violent thing. And we are kind of on the outside, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Our expertise in it is we've been there and kind of had an interesting, and we were there right in the middle of it, right when it was really blowing up for them.
Yeah.
But now that we have all this information, again, from the armchair diagnosis, it's kind of a be very careful out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just obviously make your own choices, but we present the information to you as it's very public. So
it's very public. Yeah. Go watch Jason Hawes because he has a better, direct line. Right. We are one step removed, and while we fully support, what he did and what he is doing, we are still, one removed.
Exactly. So, well, hopefully y'all have made it through all of that wild rhetoric, if you will. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
Stay spooky, y'all.